Football is more than just a game. Its heart beats strongest in those great rivalries that blend all the passion, anger, and history into one. Across the world, countless legendary rivalries exist, from River Plate versus Boca Juniors to Galatasaray versus Fenerbahce, and from Roma versus Lazio to Milan versus Inter. In this video series, I'll take you on a journey across Europe, exploring the biggest rivalries in each country up close. I'll focus primarily on Western Europe's rivalries. Let's set off towards football's fiercest clashes. Our journey begins at the westernmost tip of the continent, the Iberian Peninsula. The rivalry between Porto and Benfica, known as O Clásico, is arguably the most significant in Portuguese football, transcending local or regional animosity to embody a clash between the country's two most successful clubs. Historically, it represents a deep-seated antagonism between the metropolitan and capital powers, with Benfica representing Lisbon and a wider national appeal, and Porto embodying the industrial north and its proud, independent identity. The rivalry intensified in the 1980s and 90s under the presidencies of Jorge Nuno Pinto da Costa for Porto and João Santos for Benfica, a period marked by intense on-field battles and off-field disputes over refereeing and player transfers. This era saw a shift in power towards Porto, challenging Benfica's long-standing dominance and establishing a new paradigm of two-way competition for the Primeira Liga title. As such, the derby is not merely a football match, but a cultural and political flashpoint, reflecting the historical and economic fault lines within Portugal itself. Introducing this derby might sound a bit silly, but given my task for this video, I still have to do it. The rivalry between Barcelona and Real Madrid, known as El Clásico, is one of the most widely followed and significant fixtures in world football, with roots that extend far beyond the pitch. The historical animosity is a reflection of political and cultural tensions between the regions of Catalonia and Castile, with Barcelona often seen as a symbol of Catalan identity and self-determination against the centralist government represented by Real Madrid. This divide was particularly exacerbated during the Franco dictatorship, a period when the Catalan language and culture were suppressed, and Real Madrid became a symbol of the regime's power. The rivalry has been defined by key flashpoints, including the infamous and controversial transfer of Alfredo Di Stefano in the 1950s, and more recently, Luis Figo's move from Barcelona to Madrid in 2000, which was seen as an ultimate act of betrayal. As two of the most successful clubs in history, their meetings are often decisive in the race for the La Liga title and have showcased the battles between some of the sport's greatest players, such as Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. The rivalry between Paris Saint-Germain and Olympique de Marseille, known as Le Classique, is a modern French derby rooted in the cultural and economic divide between the country's north and south. While Marseille was a historic and dominant force in French football, the animosity escalated in the late 1980s when the newly ambitious PSG began to challenge for titles. This on-field competition was a reflection of a larger societal tension, with PSG representing the capital's glamour and corporate wealth, and Marseille embodying the grit and working-class spirit of the port city. The rivalry reached a fever pitch in the early 1990s, with both clubs vying to be the first French team to win the Champions League, a feat Marseille controversially achieved in 1993 before being embroiled in a match-fixing scandal. This historic victory remains a point of pride for Marseille fans, who to this day taunt their Parisian rivals with the slogan "À jamais les premiers." Although recent years have seen a financial and on-pitch dominance from PSG, the derby remains a significant fixture, continuing to reflect the distinct identities of France's two largest cities. The Andorran Derby is a fierce local rivalry defined by the dominant battle for supremacy between two clubs from the same parish. Since the early 2000s, FC Santa Coloma and UE Santa Coloma have been the two most successful teams in the country, consistently competing for the national title. This close proximity and constant on-field competition have intensified a rivalry that embodies local pride and a fight for bragging rights. The matches, while small in scale, are crucial fixtures that often determine the league champion. As such, the derby is the pinnacle of domestic football in Andorra. The rivalry between SP Trefiori and SP La Fiorita stands as the most significant in Sanmarinese football, representing a clash between the country's two most decorated clubs. The animosity stems from the historical dominance of the Campionato Sammarinese and the Coppa Titano, with both teams consistently challenging each other for silverware. Their rivalry is not based on geographical or political divides, but on the pure competitive spirit of two of the nation's biggest football institutions. The Northwest Derby is arguably England's most significant rivalry, rooted in a deep-seated economic and industrial animosity between the two great cities. The rivalry dates back to the 19th century, with the construction of the Manchester Ship Canal, which bypassed Liverpool's port and created a fierce economic competition. This historic conflict transitioned onto the football pitch, where both clubs have spent decades vying for the title of the most successful club in English football history. Their on-field encounters are defined by a palpable intensity and a clash of two distinct footballing cultures. The derby is not merely a game for 3 points, but an intense battle for regional and national supremacy. The Dublin Derby is the most significant rivalry in Irish football, reflecting the historical and social divisions within the city. Bohemian FC, from the north bank of the River Liffey, has a more intellectual and working class background, while Shamrock Rovers, representing the South Bank, draws much of its support from suburban areas. These geographical and class distinctions have formed the foundation of a rivalry that has persisted since the 1920s, leading to intense competition on the pitch. Past battles for league titles and cup honours have heightened the derby's significance and deepened the animosity between the two sides. As such, the derby is more than just a football match. It is a reflection of Dublin's cultural and social fabric. The South Wales Derby is the fiercest rivalry in Welsh football, representing the clash of industrial and cultural identities between the two cities. The capital, Cardiff, is historically associated with coal trade and its status as a port city, while Swansea has been renowned for copper and steel production since the Industrial Revolution. This economic and regional rivalry intensified in the late 20th century as both clubs progressed through the English Football League system. Dramatic encounters on the pitch and intense fan clashes have made this derby a defining event in Welsh football. Consequently, the match is not only contested for 3 points, but also represents a battle for regional supremacy and local pride. The most historic and passionate derby in Maltese football is the rivalry between Sliema Wanderers and Floriana FC. The animosity between the two clubs dates back to the early 20th century, making it one of the oldest derbies in Europe. Both teams rank among the country's most successful clubs, having won a large portion of the league championships. This contest is rooted in the geographical proximity of the two port towns, as well as their long-standing battle for historical footballing success. For supporters, the match is far more than a football game. It is a battle for dominance in the national football scene and the preservation of a historic legacy. The Derby della Madonnina is a rivalry unique in world football, as it pits two major rivals who share the same stadium. The animosity between the two clubs is historically rooted in social class distinctions. Inter was founded by a split from Milan and was traditionally seen as the club of the wealthy, while Milan retained its working class fanbase. Although this social divide has since faded, the rivalry remains intense, defined by clashes of on-field styles, strategic battles, and a constant struggle for city supremacy. The atmosphere in the San Siro is always electric, with both sets of fans filling the stadium with banners and chants. Ultimately, the derby represents a fierce battle for bragging rights and Serie A dominance in the heart of Italy's fashion capital. Der Klassiker is the most significant rivalry in modern German football, defined by a competitive struggle for Bundesliga supremacy between the country's two most popular clubs. While the animosity gained prominence in the 1990s as Borussia Dortmund emerged as a title contender, it has since become a high-stakes battle that often determines the destination of the league trophy. The rivalry is also a clash of identities. Bayern Munich represents the corporate, serial winning powerhouse, while Dortmund embodies a more grassroots, authentic, and passionately supported club. Their on-field encounters are known for their high intensity, fast-paced action, and an abundance of goals. The rivalry has evolved into a national spectacle, showcasing the battle between Germany's undisputed top two clubs. The Klassieker is the most heated rivalry in the Netherlands, embodying a profound cultural and economic clash between the two largest cities, Amsterdam and Rotterdam. The Amsterdam-based Ajax represents a more liberal, cosmopolitan identity, known for its focus on fluid, technical football. In stark contrast, Feyenoord from the working-class port of Rotterdam embodies a physical, no-nonsense style of play and an incredibly passionate fanbase. This deep-seated clash between the capital and the largest port city has consistently defined Dutch football for decades. The matches are not only about on-field dominance, but also about which city's culture and identity will dominate. The Grote Klassieker is the most significant rivalry in Belgian football, representing a long-standing battle for national supremacy between the two most decorated clubs. Unlike many derbies rooted in geographical divides, this rivalry is a clash of footballing philosophies and historical achievements. Anderlecht, based in the capital, has traditionally been the powerhouse of the league, with a structured and methodical approach to winning. Club Brugge, on the other hand, is the spiritual home of Belgian football in Flanders, and has been their fiercest and most persistent challenger. The rivalry is defined by their constant struggle for the league title, and the right to be called the nation's greatest club. The Vienna Derby is Austria's most historic and heated football rivalry, with deep roots in the city's social and cultural divisions. Rapid Vienna has long been considered the club of the working class, based in the city's west, and is known for its passionate vocal support. In contrast, Austria-Vienna, from the south of the city, has traditionally been seen as a club of the bourgeoisie and intellectuals. This historic divide, combined with their on-field struggle for national supremacy, has made the rivalry a central part of Austrian football culture since the early 20th century. Matches between them are often intense, high-stakes affairs that reflect the clashing identities of the two clubs. The Zurich Derby is the most significant rivalry in Swiss football, embodying a fierce struggle for city dominance between two clubs with contrasting identities. Grasshopper Club Zurich, the country's most decorated team, has historically been viewed as the more aristocratic and internationally focused club. On the other hand, FC Zurich, which has a strong connection to the city's working class roots, represents the local passion and identity. Their matches are always marked by a high level of tension, both on the pitch and in the stands. The derby is not only a battle for local bragging rights, but also a reflection of the different social fabrics within Switzerland's largest city. FC Vaduz, Liechtenstein's main club, competes in the Swiss league due to the country's small size. As a result, the club's primary competition takes place against Swiss teams. However, the biggest local rivalry is between FC Vaduz and FC Balzers, who frequently meet in the finals of the Liechtenstein Cup. Although this rivalry involves a limited number of matches, it represents the only true contest for the nation's most prestigious football prize. Consequently, the most significant domestic fixtures in Liechtenstein occur in the Liechtenstein Cup finals. And that wraps up the first part of our journey exploring Europe's biggest football rivalries. From Portugal to Liechtenstein, we've once again seen that football is much more than just a game. But this is only the beginning of the series. In my next video, we'll dive into the passionate rivalries of Eastern Europe and the Balkans. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss this exciting second stop on our journey. Remember, what makes football truly special isn't just the victories, but the passion and stories behind each of these unique rivalries. See you in the next video.